Hello everyone who's watching this. My name is Goblin, and I'm going to be going over a bit more of a power build for the Stam DK today. So, I did a double two-hander build with this Stam DK rotation, and it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't pulling a ton. Double two-hander was okay, and I, since then, have learned a couple things, refined the build, and made it super nasty. So I'm going to go over that with you today. First things first, let's have a look at our stats. I'll pop a potion here. So we're sitting at 33 max, 33k max stamina. That's quite high. We've got good stamina recovery, 1800 with the level foot stupid Saltress. That will go a little bit down in actual content if we're using the dubious Cameron Throne, because we need health, but that's still 1500. That's going to be really strong. We're looking at 3700 weapon damage, which is very strong. That's going to go up as we get into combat, and I've seen that go over 5000, so that's quite good. And weapon crit 57%, that's going to go up. We are wearing a set that gives us a critical bonus once we stack it up in combat. So overall, that's really good stats. We are an orc. For the improved weapon damage with the orc passives, which we will go over later, and our Mundus is the shadow that's going to increase our critical damage. Alright, I'm going to go into the skills here. So first up, on our front bar, we are using a two-hander. We have Camouflaged Hunter, Barbed Trap, Wrecking Blow, Executioner, Stone Giant, and Flawless Dawnbreaker. And on the back bar, we're using Dual Wield, and we're using Consuming Trap, Venomous Claw, Deadly Cloak, Noxious Breath, Camouflaged Hunter again, and Standard of Might. So, I'm going to go over the back bar first. We have Venomous Claw. This is a dot that ramps up over time, does poison damage. It's our highest damage dot ability that we have. We also have Noxious Breath. This is going to apply a Major Breach, which is great, and also applies a really strong dot that lasts for 14 seconds. So these two we cast together because they're both 14-second duration. We also have the Standard of Might. We're going to cast this at the start of the parse. It's a big AoE flame damage dot that also improves our damage done and also reduces our damage taken, so it's very good for a lot of scenarios. Those are all from the Ardent Flame. We don't have any Draconic Power skills that we're using, and Earth and Heart we don't have any on the back bar. So the next up we have Soul Magic, Consuming Trap. You get this for free at the beginning of the game, and then you get 1 skill point. You can morph it. This is a 10-second damage over time. It scales with our highest stats and will deal physical damage for us because we are a stam-based class. From Dual Wield, we have Deadly Cloak. It's really this one is really important that you morph to Deadly Cloak because it does a lot more damage. Lasts for 10 seconds again, and is just dealing AoE damage around us. And a secondary benefit is that while we have this up, we take less AoE damage. So we actually get a decent amount of mitigation from that. Particularly in Trials, a lot of the damage that you're taking as a DPS is AoE because you're not taking direct attacks from the boss. Or at least you shouldn't be. Last up we have Camo Hunter. This is from Fighters Guild. This is just a skill that we don't cast, but it gives us Major Savagery passively, and when we deal flanking damage we gain Minor Berserk, which is great because particularly in Trials content, the dummy does give you Minor Berserk, but in a trial you might not necessarily have that all the time, so you can give this to yourself while you're attacking the boss from a flank. Alright, for the front bar, Go back up to our class skills. Again, no Draconic Power. We don't have any Ardent Flame on this bar. We just have Earthen Heart Stone Giant. This is a central part of the build. This gives us a ramping debuff that increases our damage done on the affected targets, and also does decent damage. It has an initial cast, which has a cast time, does AoE damage, then it gives you 3 charges that fire off instantly and can actually be fired from range. So in certain scenarios where we need to keep this up, but we have to stay off of the boss, we can fire this from a range, which is great. Then we have weapon skills. We have two-hander skills. Wrecking Blow. This is going to be our main spammable. It does a ton of damage. It has a wind-up time, but you can weave it quite effectively, and it gives you Empower. So while you're light attack weaving, your light attacks will increase damage as well. And this skill alone, it actually pushes our light attacks to be one of our highest damaging pieces in the parse. And then we have Executioner. This is our Execute. Deals up to 400% more damage to enemies with less than 50% health. So this is going to be a huge amount of damage. We're going to start using this around 35%. And it goes off quite quickly, isn't too expensive, and can hit over 100k near the tail end of the fight. So that's going to be really great. From the Fighters Guild, the rest of our skills are Fighters Guild. So we have 3 Fighters Guild on this bar, which will make sense in a little bit. We've got Camouflaged Hunter again, that's just there for the Major Savagery and the Minor Berserk. We have Barbed Trap. This is going to give us Minor Force, increasing our crit damage, and actually does quite a lot of damage as a dot ability. And we have Flawless Dawnbreaker. This is going to do dot damage, direct damage, and increase our weapon damage. And that lasts for 20 seconds. So this is quite an inexpensive ult, and because we're Dragonknight, we do get a decent amount of regen. So we're going to be able to cast this quite frequently and have that weapon damage active quite a lot. So that's going to be great. Alright, so that is the actives. We're going to get into the passives really quickly. Ardent Flame, all of these passives are very important. You are applying Poisoned status effect, and you're going to be restoring stamina when you do that. This is going to be increasing the direct damage of these 2 attacks, which is great. The damage over time of these 2 attacks and this ultimate is going to be affected by Searing Heat, so you want that. And this decreases the cost of both of these abilities as well. So overall, all of these are very important. Draconic Power, we can get away with skipping some of these because we don't have any of these skills on our bar. So Iron Skin you do want because that works all the time. This you do not need because we don't have any of these abilities. This we do not need because we don't have any again. And this we do want because spell resistance is always good. However, I would always say if you have the points, get these because you never know when you're going to be in a fight where you're going to want to run a resistance buff, or maybe you're taking a lot of range damage and you want protective scale or something, or you find you're getting into trouble and you want to replace something on your back bar and put in a heal. So I would recommend having these passives if you can afford them. Earthen Heart, Battle Roar, very important. We absolutely need this. When you cast an ultimate ability, you regain resources. You can heal yourself, get all your stamina back, cover magicka if you're low somehow. This is very important to have. This is also going to be really good because it'll increase the duration of your Stone Giant, although you don't strictly need it. Mountain's Blessing. This is your team buff, so when you cast your Stone Giant, you're going to be giving Minor Brutality not only to yourself, but to the rest of your group, which is going to be very important. And Helping Hands, You don't necessarily need this because we're not casting Bolten Armaments, but there are certain scenarios where you might want to put Bolten Armaments onto your back bar so that you can get Major Brutality. For example, if you don't want to expend expensive potions, so it is good to have this anyways. Our weapon passives, I will recommend just having all of the passives from two-hander and from dual wield. They're very good. They let you apply bleeds, give you more damage, and overall you are going to want all of these regardless. So make sure that you're getting those as you rank up your weapon skills. For armor, we're wearing all medium armor. You can basically get everything here. You don't need improved sneak, although if you want to sneak around you can get it. You don't need the soul magic passives. You can get them, they're okay. Fighter's Guild, we are going to want all of the passives except for Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter isn't important unless you're doing things in Cyrodiil, but Skill Tracker, our Barbed Trap is going to do more to Undead, Daedra, and Werewolves. This is actually, Barbed Trap is actually quite a high damage skill. So this 20% increase is going to be great. Banish the Wicked, you generate 9 ultimate when you kill an Undead, Daedra, or Werewolf. This is going to be great. You will generate a ton of ult in ad pulls and by cleaving down enemies when you're fighting bosses if you're in specific content. Slayer is the most important. As you can see, we have 3 Fighters Guild abilities on our front bar, and that's going to give us 9% bonus damage. That is going to be a huge amount of increased damage. So this is very important to have, and Intimidating Presence is going to reduce the cost of our Barbed Trap, which we do want. Other than that, you don't really need anything else other than the Undaunted passives. We are wearing all medium, but this still gives us regained resources when we activate a synergy, and we are going to have 2% better max stats. Racial work skills, so increases our max stamina, that's going to be good. Increases our max health. This is actually really nice because it lets us get away with using cheaper food, basically. You don't necessarily need our Tam Takeaway Broth. Dubious Camera and Throne is going to be just fine in terms of health, and we are going to be able to use recovery food instead of biostat food because of this bonus health. So we're going to be a little bit safer than other races, as well as Swift Warrior increases our weapon damage. This is huge for us. This is what makes Orc the best for stam DPS. Overall, you're going to be able to push the highest numbers, and great, it's good for you. Last thing you need is medicinal use from the alchemy skill line. This is going to allow us to have 100% uptime on our potion. Alright, let's get into the gear. So, on the monster set, I'm wearing Velidreths. This is going to give us a proc for 3 disease spores that deal disease damage, and it can occur once every 8 seconds. That's going to be great. And the one piece gives us weapon damage. That is awesome. Relequens, this is simply the best single target damage set for stamina in the game. Going to give us good stats as well as harmful winds, which can start hitting for up to 4,000, 5,000 a second, just ticking away, and it builds up and then goes for the entire parse as long as you keep those light attacks up. Very good set. Advancing Yokeda, this is the Berserking Warrior set. This is going to be giving us a ton of weapon critical. As you saw, our weapon crit was sitting around 57%, but that's going to actually go up to around 67, almost 70, maybe even higher, depending on minor savagery and everything, because this stacks up to 10 times. It gives us over 3,000 weapon critical, plus the 1,600 that you get just from wearing the 4-piece. So this is huge. Our front bar weapon is a battle axe of Advancing Yokeda. We want a battle axe so that we can apply bleeds, and our back bar weapons are 2 Black Rose Perfected Axes, and we'll go over the enchantments for those in just a second. So these set bonuses are going to give us the best single target damage. Now, if you want to do AoE damage for a trash pull, what you can put on is, in place of advancing Yokeda, you can use Leviathan. This is just going to give you flat weapon crit that you don't have to stack up. So it is overall a bit less. It's about 1,000 less weapon critical, which comes out to around 4 or 5%. But it does allow you to have that weapon critical effective against all the enemies as they are coming in, and you just kill them. For the body, we're going to put on New Moon Acolyte. This is going to give us a little bit of penetration, weapon damage, and critical. Overall, really great base stats, and I like this for trash pulls because that little bit of extra penetration, you're normally not getting maximum optimized penetration against every single piece of trash in the fight. So this is going to be really good to kind of fill that gap. And you know, those trash pull fights are usually pretty short, so the increased cost doesn't affect us too heavily, and we're going to stick with Velidreths for that. Now for traits, I'm going to put back on the other set. For traits, we've got Divines on all of our armor with max stamina enchantments. That's going to give us the most weapon critical damage bonus overall, as well as max stamina, which does play into our damage. On the Jewellery, we're going to have all bloodthirsty with weapon damage enchantments. That's again going to give us the highest power possible. And for our axe, we want precise. Our weapon critical is a little bit lower with a two-hander, so we want to fill that gap. Precise is going to give us a better bonus than Nirnhoned in this scenario. And on the back bar, we have 2 infused axes. One of them has a weapon damage enchantment to increase our power, and one of them has a poison damage enchant. So this will give us a dot poison sometimes on our back bar, and that is going to be able to be applied by our blade cloak. So, our deadly cloak. Our deadly cloak can proc both of these even when we've swapped to our front bar. If I didn't go over it, the Black Rose Perfected, or just the Black Rose Prison dual wield set gives us a bonus to our deadly cloak that gives us a 6% increase in damage done, which is why we are running this on the back bar. Alright, so that is going to be our gear, sets, and traits. We are going to use the same traits for the AoE setup as well, so don't worry too much about that. So if we look at our consumables, we are using double dot poison on the front bar. You can craft this or use crown lethal poison if you have some. Basically it's creeping ravage health and ravage health poison. So it's going to apply double dot. That's going to do the most damage for us on the front bar, so it doesn't matter what you have for an enchantment on this. If you're using the AoE set, you are going to want a disease enchantment on the front bar with no poisons, because disease damage enchant is applied instantly. So that is going to give you the most burst damage in AoE effect. And you can apply that with your weapon damage skill, or with your weapon skills as well. For food, for parsing, we're using Lavafoot Soup and Sultrus. This is just going to give us the most recovery and most stamina. For content, we can use Dubious Cameron Throne if we need the recovery. You can also use the more expensive version of this, which is Artaeum Takeaway Broth, but that's usually a little bit hard to get your hands on. And I find the Dubious Cameron Throne works just fine. That's going to give you max stamina, max health, and stam recovery. And if you don't find you're having any recovery issues, you can use the Braised Rabbit. That's just going to give you better max stats overall than the Dubious Cameron, but obviously no recovery. But for now, we are using the Lavafoot Soup and Sultrus. Our potions are going to be Essence of Weapon Power is what they're called when you craft them. You can also buy it from the Cyrodiil vendor. It's going to give us stamina back, stamina recovery for 47 seconds, and it's going to give us Major Brutality and Major Savagery. We already have Major Savagery covered, so if you want to save a little bit of money, you can just make this the Brutality and Stamina pots with 2 ingredients, but this is just what I have on me at the moment. And again, if you do ever want to swap out Camo Hunter, that is your flex spot, so you can use this to cover that gap if you need it. Okay, CP. So I have gone over this vigorously, and this is going to give us the best setup. So we've got 38 piercing. This is going to give us the maximum amount of penetration that we need on the dummy. In content with an optimized trial group, talk to your raid lead, or if you are the raid lead, you can work out exactly how much pen you're going to need. You can take points out of piercing and apply them elsewhere if you don't need the points here. 66 precise, this is going to improve our critical damage. Thaumaturge, we are doing a lot of dot damage, so 44 points here is going to give us a nice boost in damage. All of our damage is physical, poison, and disease, so Mighty is going to give us a lot, 64 there. And we have 56 Master at Arms, that's going to increase our direct damage attacks. 2 of our dots actually apply a direct damage while they're hitting, so this is actually quite good, as well as our Execute is a big part of our damage phase, and that is all direct damage. Physical Weapon Expert, only 2 points here. It's just these bottom points, there's diminishing returns on the CP, so these 2 points turn out to be better than anything else at that point, because everything else is quite high. For green CP, it's not too important. The only thing that I recommend having is 100 Mooncalf, 20 Tenacity. This is going to give you a lot of recovery. We aren't heavy attacking, but in trash fights you might be doing that a little bit with your 2-hander because it has the cleave damage. I like to put a bit into Sprinter, some into Bashing, a fair amount into Warlord in case you have to break free. That can save your life. And Tumbling is very important, as well as blocking, but I'd say Tumbling is the most important for a stam DPS because you're going to have to dodge heavy attacks if they're coming your way, and that is taking away from your skill pool, what you're using to cast your skills. I do recommend for your red CP, go to ESO University. They have a page where it shows you can put in the trial you're doing, and it'll show you exactly how to mitigate the most damage. The only thing I do say for Dragonknights is you can put some medium armor focus points in to catch up to your spell resistance that you get innately through your passives. But again, I would recommend looking at your red CP on ESO University, where they have it optimized for the content that you'll be doing. Alright, so that is CP. Let's go over the rotation. So I'm just going to go over the AoE rotation extremely quickly because it's very simple. And this will just help you very easily. So in a trash scenario, you are going to have your potion on. You're on your front bar. Okay, you can drop your Dragonknight standard if you want for the pull. Using your ults is up to you for trash, and it's going to depend on what you're doing. Obviously, in a lot of dungeons, you're not going to do it at all, so I'm going to skip over that. But basically, your 2 main things that you're going to need to do, you're going to do your breath. That's going to apply Major Fracture. You're going to do your Deadly Cloak. This is going to start ramping up your weapon damage. You're going to do 1 Stone Giant. That first hit of Stone Giant hits in an AoE. So you're just going to do 1. That's going to apply the debuff to the enemies. So you're going to do the 1 Stone Giant, and then you're just going to Brawler. Now Brawler gives you a damage shield when you hit enemies, so you're actually very safe during trash pulls because of that. You're going to effectively have tank amounts of health. This is with the non health food. That's giving me an 18k damage shield. That's pushing me up to 30,000 health. The other thing that you can do is, if you have an easy way to hit it, you can put down your barbed trap, and that'll give you the minor force and give you a little bit more damage. So you're going to be doing this and just wailing away on these guys like this. Do that. Put down the trap. Fracture. Get a heavy attack in there. And with a two-hander, your light attacks actually do hit multiple enemies, as you can see while I'm hitting that. So yeah, that's pretty easy to do, very simple, and your sustain should be fine. If you need to heavy attack, don't feel bad about it. In trash fights, especially, like if you're running low on resources, just heavy attack away, because those heavy attacks still hit the nearby enemies, as you can see. If I come up here and I whack him, it hits the ones in the back as well. So you can hold heavy attack and do a brawler, and that'll give you some resources back and do a good amount of damage. So now we will go over the single target rotation as soon as I'm out of combat. Make sure that all went off. Okay. So the single target rotation. Go over on this guy. Let's rotate this. Okay. There we go. So the single target rotation is built around Stone Giant. You want to keep 3 stacks on that all the time, and the way that it's timed out, it works perfectly. So you're going to start with your potion. Okay, you're going to go Stone Giant, Barb Trap, and Swap. Okay, so now we've applied 1 stack of Stone Giant, and we've got our minor force applying. Okay, then we go immediately into Venomous Claw, Noxious Breath. We swap back. At this point, you should have these Stone Giant orbs floating around you. You're going to be able to instantly cast Stone Giant and swap back immediately. Okay, so we've gone Stone Giant, Trap, we're applying our long dots, Stone Giant again, then we're going to do our Deadly Cloak and our Consuming Trap. That's our short dots. So now all of our dot abilities are on roughly the same cooldown, because we've waited a few seconds to apply Deadly Cloak and Consuming Trap. Now at this point, we have 2 courses of action. If our ultimate is ready, at the start of the fight we are going to use Dragonknight Standard, and we're going to drop that and swap back and begin our spammable phase. Later into the fight, we're not going to be casting Dragonknight Standard. If our ult is ready, we're going to cast Dawnbreaker, and if it's not ready, we're going to do 1 spammable. But I'll show you what the start of the fight looks like. So you're popping your potion, long dots, Stone Giant, short dots, ult, Stone Giant, 3 spammables. Alright, so you're dropping the ultimate, swapping to the front bar, casting a Stone Giant again. That puts you at 3 stacks, and you're going to go into 3 spammables, which is your Wrecking Blow. Once you've done your 3 spammables, your Stone Giant is going to be back to the channeled cast, so you're going to be able to do that, put down your Barb Trap, swap, and continue on with the rotation. Now, in this scenario, when I swap to the front bar here, and my ultimate is not ready, all that I have to do is 1 Wrecking Blow, then Stone Giant, which will be one of these, and then 3 Wrecking Blows. Alright, if Dawnbreaker is up when we get to the front bar, we are going to cast Dawnbreaker. So I'll show you how that looks, right? Short dots. We know that Dawnbreaker's up. We're going to instantly cast it. Stone Giant and 3 spammables. Stone Giant again. Barb Trap. Continue on with the rotation. This time we know our ult's not going to be up. We're going to do a spammable, then a Stone Giant, and then into our spammables again. Alright. That is the rotation. It is very smooth. Extremely smooth. It has a lot of moving parts. You gotta practice it a little bit, but it is so smooth once you get it down. It feels like butter. Like it's amazing. I really enjoy playing this because of how fun the rotation is to do and how much you're maximizing the uptimes on all of these things. And it's completely static. It's completely static. The only thing you have to decide is after you cast your Consuming Trap, what ability are you going to cast here? Are you going to do a spammable or a Dawnbreaker? And then it's literally the same the rest of the time. So, execute, we're going to change it up just a little bit. During execute, the only thing you have to change is at 35%, you're going to start exchanging your Wrecking Blows for Executioner. So what does this look like? You have your Stone Giant, Trap, we got this. Okay, we're going to do 1 Executioner, and then we're going to go Stone Giant again, and then we can fit 4 Executioner, because it goes off a little bit faster. So you can fit 4 there during the main spammable phase, which is great. So you do your Stone Giant and just 4 of these. If you had your Dawnbreaker up, you would have cast it before the Stone Giant. And if you don't have the Dawnbreaker up, you do 1 Stone Giant, 4. That's great. Now when you get to 20%, we change the rotation because Executioner starts doing so much damage that we can afford to drop some dots and fit more in. So what it looks like once you get to 20% is you do your Stone Giant, you do your Trap, then you do Claw, Cloak, Stone Giant, 4 executes, Stone Giant again, 4 more executes. Now your Cloak will fall off, but that's okay. Oops, I misclicked there. That was meant to be that. And then we go that, and 4 executes. Another Stone Giant, 4 more executes. And that's what you're going to hit until the end. You can replace any one of those execute hits with a Dawnbreaker if it is ready. I hope that makes sense. It's pretty simple. You just got to practice it a fair amount, and once you get it down, it feels extremely smooth and very fun to do. Alright, so I'm going to show you my CMX that I did. I was able to pull 92.5 thousand. This was a great parse. I did it almost perfectly, but again, like, this is super duper high, especially for Stam DK. They've been lagging. You know, DK DPS has lagged a little bit behind. They're primarily a tanking class, so I was very happy being able to pull a number like this. As you can see here, weapon damage going well over 5,000. And weapon critical 74%. That's good enough to make good use of the shadow. We are getting a ton of crit bonus damage, and our pen all comes from our CP, so that's standard, and that's going to be able to, this much is going to be able to give us full penetration on the dummy. But as you can see, light attack is the top damage for us, so very important to keep that weaving up. especially with Wrecking Blow giving us that Empower, is pushing our light attack to do more damage than Executioner over the course of the fight. So generally your top 4 is going to be these, the Harmful Winds, Wrecking Blow, Executioner, and light attacks. So you're definitely going to want to keep all of those up. And then, as you can see, Stone Giant is a little bit lower on its damage, which is why we are not just using Stone Giant as a spammable, even though you can for sure. You can for sure do that. Other than that, you can see that we are able to apply our Heavy Weapons Bleed with pretty good uptime, considering it's doing so much. And we do have another bleed, Twin Blade and Blunt. So we can apply both bleeds and they both contribute to our damage. Deadly Cloak doing a good amount for us. This is our back bar light attacks. They do quite a lot less, as you can see, than the front bar light attacks. But we've got Velidreths contributing around 2k. Celine's will give you a similar amount, but Velidreths gives you weapon damage on the one piece and can hit multiple enemies if there are more than one. So that's going to be good. And over here you can see we've got perfect uptime, minor force. Our weapon damage enchant has good uptime, about 89, considering that we don't have our cloak going all the time. So we have, where is it? Deadly Cloak uptime is 70%. So we actually get better uptime on our weapon damage enchant than the cloak time, which is great. Flawless Dawnbreaker 39% is going to be giving us that weapon power, which is awesome. And then Berserking Warrior, we're able to keep basically 100% uptime. That's just the time that it takes to stack it up at the beginning of the fight, essentially. Debuffs going out, 3 times stagger at 97% uptime. This is great because it isn't always easy for a DK tank to apply this. They have other stuff that they need to do. And, you know, sometimes they are needing to block or dodge rolls. So being able to apply this for a group is really great. Barb Trap uptime, Venom Claw uptime. Now, this drops down because we do drop it for the Execute rotation. As well as Consuming Trap. Again, that's totally fine. The Execute rotation does a ton of damage. Alright, so yeah, 92.5k, well, 92.495, but again, super high damage. I'm really happy with this, and it works out quite well. So I'm going to do an example parse just for fun, and I'll kind of talk about what I'm doing while I go through it. Right, let's give it a go. I'm going to grab the synergy there. Okay, so it's the first rotation, so I'm going to drop a DK standard, Stone Giant again, and now let's do the spammables. One spammable. Get my potion there. Okay, our Dawnbreaker's ready. As you can see, we're casting the long dots right on the perfect cooldown, which is great. Okay, our ult's not ready yet. It should be next rotation. Potion is ready. Missed a light attack there. That's okay. Dawnbreaker is ready. on 50%, so we're going to keep an eye on that health. Dawnbreaker will be ready next time. Potion is ready. Dawnbreaker is ready. Not at 35% yet, so next rotation we're going to start using the execute. Okay, we're going to do 4 executes. Dawnbreaker is ready next rotation. Four executes again. Okay, we're going to do one more normal rotation here. Okay, now we're going to start dropping dots. So we're going to go 4. Drop Dawnbreaker. This should take us to the end. Last potion, yeah, this will do it. Alright, and as you can see on that most recent parse, I did drop a tiny amount. It was 92.1. So again, totally reasonable to expect 92. On a good go, I got 92.5. So there you have it. That is my StamTK build for the Markarth patch, which is live now. So you can do this on live and it'll perform exactly like this. Alright, thanks for watching everyone. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Goblin, and I'll see you in the next one.